and Mr. Alan Carter of Carter Comics. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, Keith. Thanks for having me back.
Hey, look, man, it was my honor to have you back. For me, it took too long to get you back on here, man. I wish I'd have got you back on soda. So how have you been since we last spoke? What's been going on with you?
Oh, yeah, I've been a little busy with my art stuff. I just had my convention up at a comic shop called Pulp Fiction Comics down in Culver City. It's maybe 40 minutes from where I'm in North Hollywood. And then that actually went pretty well. We had a nice little crowd come over, made a few sales, had a few contacts, people could pick up, Christmas gifts. And a lot of people just came by to really support the artists that were there. It was a smaller show, but it was a really intimate show. So I enjoyed it a lot. I had my table actually decorated. I had a few Christmas trees on there. I came out with a Santa hat on my table and everything.
Oh, okay. So you bought some extra flavor to the show this time.
Yeah, I wanted to make a little festive for December.
Hey, you know what? Speaking of that, was it the figure of speech mongoose that was wearing a Santa hat in one of your pictures?
I believe it was. I think I did a few promo illustrations for the Christmas Carol games that I'm doing this month, and he actually was. I had one of his dressed up as Santa Claus. Right.
That. You know what? Exactly. And I probably threw you off because you had to think about it for a minute. They're like, wait a minute. But yeah, I remember that. That picture stuck out in my mind. As a matter of fact, he looked unique. He looked like he was up to something in that, very possibly. So, but all right, now, Christmas time, like you say, is coming up. Are you going to be adding any twist to it? I know you're talking about a different kind of game you're working on currently, right?
Oh, that's right. It's Christmas Carol Mondays with the twist of my usual Mongoose Mondays, where what I'll usually do is basically have people choose a category, so I do different categories. So when I started, I did figures of speech just based on what the character does, and later on I added things like pop songs and movies and TV show illustrations. It's all a title that the Mongoose actually illustrates. Mm-hmm. And, the winner can pick the next category, and then there was a monthly champion, and they get a complimentary sketch for December. Because I want to give back to everybody, I just said, hey, why don't I do some Christmas carols? I did some last year, but for each carol that you win each week, you can get a sketch of your choice, and it's whatever you want. I'll post it on your Facebook page, and it's all illustrated Christmas carols. The one I did this week was Jingle Bell Rock. I had the Mongoose characters, and I had my damn tourist characters. They're actually playing in a band. They're playing the song. They had jingle bells in the back hanging, and a rock next to it.
You know what? And we had spoke about this one time on the phone, and I asked this question because I want everybody who watches the different games that you put up for people to figure out the figure. Okay, the figure of speech mongoose. Now, when you put these pictures up, what is it exactly that you want people to try to figure out? Because remember, the other day, I thought that he was, I thought that there was, he was telling a person that they were coming out too soon and they were supposed to wait till the music stopped and all that kind of crazy stuff. So kind of fill everybody in on exactly what the plot behind figure of speech mongoose is. Like, what are they to do with him when they see him?
Well, especially when the games come up, you're thinking about, there's always a title, either movie title, a TV show title, song title that he's illustrating. So everything you see him in illustration, it's just a title that you're figuring out.
Okay. All right. So people have to try to figure out what he's, it's kind of metaphorically speaking, and they're there to try to figure out what he's subliminally saying.
Exactly, yeah, because he's literally illustrating that title. Okay. So like a fried green tomatoes, he's actually frying some green tomatoes. He's got a chef's hat on.
Okay. So it's basically, it's almost, like back in the day, they used to play the game called charades and things like that, where they were drawing pictures and people had to kind of figure things out. But the figure of speech mongoose is a lot different because he's an actual character. You see what I'm saying? And he's playing these different roles. Sometimes I look at the mongoose kind of like an actor in a way. You know what I mean? Because he's always playing something. Now, let me ask you, in the comic book, would there be other characters along with the mongoose?
I'm thinking of some other characters because I actually did some, because a lot of the development of him is now based on some of the games. So anything I tend to put in the games can be later from the comics. I did a TV show illustration, My Three Sons. So I gave him some kids. I'm doing some with like the parents. So there should be, I'm probably going to add some family members to him. Even though it's a comic strip style, there's still little things I add to the character, like where he lives. Some of it is based on little everyday expressions. So his location is he lives on the edge. So his house is actually near a cliff.
Oh, okay. Now, will all your characters be animals in the mongoose strip, or will you make some of them kind of like a little more towards a human side, like maybe one of his neighbors might be a different kind of human person or something, or will they all be animals?
I think what I'm going to do is have him and just members of his family there, and then the other characters around him to be humans, just so that he can kind of interact with different characters.
Okay.
I'm actually trying to try to do like a D.M.V.KeithHarris crossover with the mongoose. So it's another way of even introducing even more humans. I think it'll work well between the animals and just his family and then the humans.
That would be I could see that would be off the chain if you had the D.M.V.KeithHarris, especially with what D.M.V.KeithHarris is really all about. If you kind of had them with the figure of speech mongoose, because I could see them getting in the way of the figure of speech mongoose, or the figure of speech mongoose actually kind of expressing what these damn tourists do to piss him off. Because like you say, the damn tourists, when you explain them, they're just swooping through the town. They're on vacation. They don't care what they do wrong to anybody. They're just like, hey, we're here and this is what time it is, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, speaking of D.M.V.KeithHarris, as a matter of fact, are there, how serious does the issue get with D.M.V.KeithHarris? I mean, like you say, are they running over people sometimes? Are they butting in line? Like, what are some of the different things that the tourists do that upsets other people?
A lot of it is based on some of their superhumanly annoying vacation habits. So usually the first thing they do, even some of the comics I've done, one of the first things they do is knock over people.
Oh, wow.
As soon as they get somewhere, because they're just like, oh yeah, we're here, let's get a rental car, let's head out toward the town, and they're already looking for a spot, and they're just like, okay, I see that spot, I don't see that person in front of that spot. I'll knock him down, but I'm not gonna really realize I knocked him down because I've got, because that right. Mr. Invincible character actually, he's got complete television, so he's the first one to say, let's go to that spot, knocks down like 5 people, and then he'll look back and be like, oh wait, where do you guys come from? So right. It's kind of like that, and then it snowballs from there. Then the other characters come in. So when each story opens, every character gets a chance to show their own annoying trait. And it's all a lot of things that people have seen before with not just knocking down people, but also mispronouncing things or getting facts about a town wrong, like going to Vegas and thinking that everybody, even residents, go to the casinos and just thinking things like that. Or in Hawaii, they think, oh, it's all grass shacks and everything, and people are just getting headaches. Like no, like you don't understand. I mean, you just read a history book. Things kind of change. We've been more civilized. We have, buildings here. We have,
right.
We basically have like a full city. And all of that just escalates. And there's that one thing toward the end of the story that sets everyone off. It's always one thing where they're getting chased out of the town in every issue. So for Hawaii, it was a series of things where not only do they annoy people, but they're unintentionally knocking things down, and people just have enough. And they're just like, hey, look, we appreciate your money, but we can't take all of this.
Right. So I mean, right. So it's done in a funny way. It's not, in any kind of way offensive. It's just that, hey, we don't know. We're here just like everybody else to have a good time. We didn't realize what we were doing were wrong, but then before they know it, people are just like, hey, get out of here now. Like crowds like, hey, you got to go. Kind of like that.
And it's not just residents. It's not like a resident tourist dynamic. It's not like a resident versus visitor, because other tourists look at that and just say, hey, look, you're making it bad for all of us. We're not like you.
That was actually going to be my next question, as a matter of fact. Just even speaking about other characters in that as well. With them going different places and visiting different places, you're obviously going to have to constantly change your other characters that are in these scripts too, right?
Or just like some of the side characters?
Right.
Yeah, and a lot of it is, especially what I do, because it's going to be, it's going to be a different town, different city, different state, sometimes different country in every issue. So then that involves like a lot of research too. Like a lot of things, I either research it or I can talk to some friends who live there and say, well, what are some of the things that annoyed you about visitors that came over? So if I had like a relative that lived in New York and I was going to they were going to come to New York, I would say, well, tell me a little bit about what got on your nerves by visitors there, and I can put that into the story.
Right, and then everybody can relate to them, as you say. Now, where will you be able to tell where? And I call them the damn tourists, but in a minute, if you can let that out, I'll have you to kind of let everybody know what the name of the characters are as well. But did the play in the book, will it tell where they came from, or like how they landed where they are, like how they got here in the first place? Because let me ask you, were they originally, I know you said they have these powers, so were they originally from Earth, just a different place, or were they from like outer space somewhere?
Oh, that's a good one. See, that probably about maybe the seventh or eighth issue, that's going to become a mystery in the series about where they came from, because after they've gone to so many places and annoyed people, because a lot of times where they go, they're not going to be asked back. They're just going to be banned.
Right.
So they're not going to ask them to come back. They're just banished from that area. So after about the fifth or sixth state they get banned from, people are going to try to figure out, hey, where are these people from? Because we need to tell them wherever state they came from, don't bring them over there. And then, of course, nobody wants to say anything. Everybody's quiet. So everybody's trying to figure out where they're from so they can, try to prevent other people. There are others like them.
Right. And so they still...
That becomes the mystery of the series.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I think that'll be very interesting, especially if people don't get to find that out in the first place. But now let me ask you a question. Are there any sections where you find others that understand where they're coming from? Is there anybody at all that will be sympathetic to them?
I believe a lot will, because when I wrote them, I wanted to make them sympathetic. So I put in the fact that even though they have these types of annoying abilities, because they're so clueless about it, you can't really get upset at them.
Right.
So that's because if they're just jerks, then they'd basically be the villains, and you wouldn't even care about them. And now, as badly as they damage things, they're so happy and goofy and they're so clueless about it, you can't really get mad because it's like, well, they don't really know what they're doing. I mean, I'll give them a free pass. Right.
And you know what? It's great too, because that right there itself really just relates. And I had said this once before, as a matter of fact, about some of your stories. They really do relate to the realisticness, of just human life and humanity in general, because you really do have people like that. You have people who go somewhere, they're brand new, they mean no one any harm, You know what I mean? They're just not used to the ways. And then you have the other side of people who are sympathetic to it, quite like they should be, but at the same time, it's kind of like a kid, or somebody clumsy and they just keep knocking stuff over. They keep knocking the chess pieces off the board and it's a mistake. So eventually you're just like, okay, look, stay away from the game. You can't come around. You keep messing it up. It's good to see you, but, Now, let me ask you, would they ever go back to where they came from? Will the people of the towns ever get their wishes?
Oh, they'll get close. But then there's also the place that they came from. Once everybody is trying to find out, then the place where they came from, they're just trying to pretend that they weren't born there. So then there's a fight there because like they might want to come back, and then the people there will be like, oh wait, we've got everybody else calling for your heads. They might try to
wow.
They might try to look for other people. They think, oh wait, if there's 4 annoying people in this place you came from, there might be 50 more.
Right, and so that's the thing, and so the place that they actually come from, they would be accepted. And let me ask you this: would they have family members at the places that they come from? And again, stop me if I'm going too deep. And these are questions that you don't want to give away right now. But will there be family members in places that they actually came from that once they go back there, that there will be more people that they can bring over later on?
For that I haven't really developed yet, because that's something I want to kind of save for later, because I want to kind of build it up. Okay. So the first thing I want to do is do that kind of mystery of where they came from. People can kind of figure out, and actually maybe in the books I can do a little guessing game once I kind of narrow down where it's going to be, and you can kind of choose between different areas and say, hey, it's somewhere on Earth. It's like maybe like in one of these 2 countries. Try to figure out what it is. Right.
And, I'm going to tell you, Alan, the reason I go so far with these questions, and forgive me, but the reason I go so far with them, because, listen, a lot of comic books that are out or have been out in the past, they're present time stories, or they're for the moment situations and scenarios. Whereas in Damn Tourist, for instance, you're pretty much building a plot or a scene or a whole storyline. And so that's what just kind of seems unique and intriguing, that you just want to know what happens from the beginning to the end. And I know last time when we spoke, I said, these books sound like movies. You know what I mean? Like you could put these into maybe animated films. Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah, especially for figure speech mongoose, because it can be a cartoon short. D.M.V.KeithHarris is something that could be 30-minute cartoon. I would see like an Adult Swim type of thing. That because they have so many type of wacky shows, I think it would fit on there.
Oh, okay. Now there is the third one. I'll let you tell everybody the name. What is the you have a third comic that you have out as well. What's the name of that one?
And that comic is called Cosmic Force.
Right.
That's my science fiction team superhero comic series.
Now let me ask you. Let me start by asking you: is that gonna go? And I know Figure of Speech Mongoose is your baby, but with the Cosmic Force, can you see that? Is that going to be directed towards a storyline also, or they just kind of maybe fighting throughout? Each different scenario, every scenario is different, and they're just winning a battle. Show goes off, and it's kind of something different. But the characters, pretty much stay. But will the plot change, or will it be kind of like a sequel each episode?
It's going to be story arc chapter based. So I wrote 4 issues. That counts as the origin chapter of how they came together, and then there'll be 4 or 5 other issues that'll be another arc of where you kind of find out what happened to them as the story goes out, as that second chapter goes along, and also who else might be involved in actually creating them. And then so it's all, each chapter is going to have a little theme, so it's going to be the origin, and then kind of the aftermath, and then like an arrival, because then you have to deal with the families of the main characters and how they're taking it, and also the one character who finds out who they are, who tries to help them get back into a civilized life and even maybe try to get them new jobs. And then also having to beef up the villains who are in the military. And it's not the entire military, it's just a rogue section of the military / government that wants to take them out. And the rest of the military is just like, hey, we're kind of on the fence. I mean, we don't really think these people are completely dangerous, but we want to keep an eye on them. Mm-hmm. But there's at least 6 people that say, never mind that, we need to take them out because they still believe they're aliens. So we think, hey, look, if there's 5 of them, there could be 50,000 more coming. So we need to take them out now. And there's that kind of tug of war. And then there's so many different conflicts that you can do. It's just kind of pacing them, as the story goes along. So, I mean, the last conflict could be that there's a conflict between the Contra Force themselves, the kids and the adults. The adults kind of want to stick together, and the kids start getting homesick about their parents because they're not on their own yet. So once they find out people are looking for them, they want to come back. And then there's a divide there, and some of them run off, some of them might get captured. So there's so many different things. So it's all going to be through different story arcs or different themes. So the story will keep growing, and I'll keep adding things to it as the story goes along. Okay.
Now, growing up, I know I did it. Almost every kid did it. Growing up, we watch these superheroes and the villains, and we always had that one person who we said we are. Like, I might have wanted to be He-Man. Somebody else wanted to be. Who out of Cosmic Force, if you could choose to be any one of the characters, who would it be? That's a good one.
Yeah, because I develop all the characters just kind of based off of parts of my personality.
Right. See. Okay.
I would have to cheat and say one of the younger characters, Kevin Simons. His codename is Age, and the thing is, his job was that he was an intern at a television station. Mm-hmm. So his boss was a weather forecaster turned reporter who later finds out who they are as the series goes along. And a lot of that was kind of based on me. I mean, when I designed the character, I designed it kind of like me a little bit. Mm-hmm. Later on, I kind of, gave it a different name, but I added traits like I was really interested in weather growing up, so I put in that he really liked weather. So he was a, TV station intern and then weather forecaster. And his powers are that because all the powers are based off of personality traits, so he's a natural nostalgic. He's kind of an old soul. Okay. And that's another trait that was taken from me because I was an old soul growing up, and I liked a lot of older music, some older movies. I'm a big 80s fan still, to this day. And that goes into his powers where he can touch an object or project a beam at somebody, and he can age that object or that person. If he holds on too long, he can actually kill them. But if he just hits them once, it'll just age that person or object, right, maybe for 15 minutes, just to slow them down.
Oh, wow.
And then he can also, this is very minimal, just because I don't want him to be too powerful, mm-hmm, but he can fly, but as he flies, he can slow time down just by a minute or so. So just short enough to stop something, but he can't time travel because I don't want to make him too powerful. So he has very limited time powers, but mostly he can age objects, which is why I gave him that code name. But everything about him was kind of based off of me. So if I had to pick, I would definitely be that character. Although I do like my other character, Imagine. Her real name is Sandra Winter. She was a nurse, and she can come up with any scenario, but it has to be to save somebody. She can't physically harm anybody with her abilities, and it's tough because she's had a rough childhood, right because there was a person that, had, a rough life, but still, had that sarcasm and kind of wit, so she wasn't really weak. She could still be strong about anything that she believed in. So that's actually my favorite character, but the one that I would want to be is definitely Age.
Okay. Now, do the characters have you already created their rivals?
Oh, I have. Because they're a team, they have a team villain. So with the Cosmic Force, the villain team is called Operative 51, and that's a task force maybe given to the rogue agents. And they started as 3. It's actually a colonel from the Air Force who has seen weird things. And in my story, basically, there have been UFO sightings, but nobody has seen anything. So they've been suspicious. So the backstory is that the colonel had seen things like that, and there were weapons that were developed in the late 1940s to take out, just in case there was some type of, intergalactic war, there was an actual landing, so they defend themselves. But other wars showed up, Vietnam had showed up, and the military just felt, well, this seems kind of silly. We have actual wars to fight. We're going to shelve this. And they find out years later when these characters have their powers and they've been transformed, so they've been mistaken for aliens. They dig up that program and say, okay, we need to use these weapons to take these guys out because they can do things that we can't, that we need to defend the Earth. So the Air Force colonel recruits 2 FBI agents, one that he actually knows personally. And they become part of the team. And all of this is without the government's knowledge. They're doing this by, in the nights, and it's kind of dark, it's rainy. Nobody really knows what's going on until the end of the 4th issue. So all of this is covert. So it's just those 3 characters building the team, and then once the rest of the government finds out, obviously they're really upset. They say, hey, why didn't you tell us this was going on? You need, they get busted. But obviously the colonel, he's pretty high up, so there's kind of nothing they can do to him. But the FBI agents, they have a supervisor. The supervisor's like, hey, look, you have not been answering our calls. You were sent to basically investigate a missing persons case with these characters, not some possible alien abduction or alien landing. So what's going on? But of course, because this has already happened, they only get upset with them for a few seconds and say, hey, look, we understand this happened, but if you do this again, we're definitely going to, you have to turn in your badges because this is ridiculous. You need to communicate. Right. So after that, they have to recruit 3 more people because the problem is that, they're down. They're outnumbered because it's 5 Cosmic Force, there's 3, Operative 51 characters. So they're like, well, we need to recruit 3 more people. So they find a few more weapons because they had 6, but they used 3.
Okay.
And they're trying to make sure that, those weapons work. And the weapons are basically based off of some real military weapons. So there's an ultrasonic weapon, there's a freezing weapon made of liquid nitrogen, and then there's a weapon that's kind of like this advanced taser. So they're all based off action. They're just kind of, enhanced to kind of take them out. And they kind of wear them on their arms to, just to carry them around easier. And then they have, different uniforms. And it's all kind of done gradually as they see that they need to defend themselves. They'll say, okay, so it's much more practical. So they can say, okay, we need to suit up for this. We need this type of weapon. We need to kind of have our face covered. We need, riot shields and all this stuff.
And so that
the weapons get improved after a while, so it always kind of builds. So for right now, like Operative 51, those 6 characters, and the 6 characters are, the code names are, there's Circuit, there's Sound, there's Cryogenic, and there's 3 more. There's Blaze, there's Lullaby, and then there's Gale Force, and they're all based off of the weapons that they possess.
Okay, now which brings me to this. Gotta listen to the names. Are some of their powers relative to their names? Because, like you say, Lullaby, for instance. Does his powers have anything to do with the lullaby?
Oh, definitely. So what I kind of did was for Lullaby, and that's the only female on the team.
Okay.
And they're all they all recruit them from the Air Force too. So some are FBI, some are Army, and then some are Air Force. Of the three new recruits, and with Lullaby, the first three weapons are the main weapons, and then for the other three characters, they tweak them. So for Lullaby, they kind of tweak the ultrasonic weapon that sound uses. So where it's kind of like this low hum that'll put you to sleep, as opposed to this kind of loud blaring blast that could shatter glass.
Okay. And Cry, and the one who, what was the name with the Cry again? Cryogenic.
So that's the one with the freeze weapon.
Okay. Oh, okay. So basically that one can just freeze, and that's a guy.
Yeah, so they took this liquid nitrogen tank and tried to just kind of reduce it and reduce that energy into that gun, so you can pretty much freeze anything.
Okay. Now, would there be? Well, nah. I guess I shouldn't ask you that because that's giving it away. I was getting ready to say, will in some episode will there be the tragic ending to any of the actual good guys?
Not as much. That's something that you'll have to wait for. I will say that they will have some breakups.
Okay.
So they won't always be together, because eventually some of them will just, because I want to make it as realistic as possible to say, some of them, once they find out that they're, especially with the kids, that their parents are looking for them because they haven't heard anything, because they've been on the run so much, and they can finally, once they defend themselves at the end of the fourth issue, and then they kind of can get away from the public once they find out, then they can have the time to relax, kind of think things over, and they realize they listen to, they swipe a radio, because they're basically squatting on all these different places, all these different remote areas, so they won't be found. So they got to steal food, they got to steal radios just to figure out what's going on, and when they figure out that their parents are kind of looking for them, they talk about how, because there's actually a makeshift grave site where they were
buried,
they disappeared in the meteor shower.
Oh wow!
And there's actually like this little site, and there's little flowers, there's photos of the people, and the families go there, a couple times a month or a couple times a year, and visit, and just they're trying to make sense of it all. And once some of the younger ones find out, they actually want to leave, and then the older people are like, hey, look, we need to stay together because now we've got more military looking for us, and they're eventually put a bounty on their head. So we need to stick together. We can't be out here, because if you leave and they catch you, they can easily catch us.
Yep. And somebody could slip and be done told where everybody else is at in the whole plot. So
and even with the reporter, they don't initially trust her because only one person knows her.
Oh, okay. And so this kind of keeps them from being able to reunite with their original families anyway. They're forced into a life of hiding.
Yeah, because when it starts, once they disappear and they come back, and that's something that will be explained probably within the next chapter of where they were going, because that's a big mystery. Like, nobody really knows what happens in that 2-year gap. They once they figure out they have the powers, they're kind of scared, but they think, well, this is weird. Let's just try to get a handle on this as best we can. Maybe we can still get back to society. Then they find out they're gone for 2 years, and then they're like, and they're declared dead. And then they're kind of stopping the tracks, like, okay, now what do we do? I mean, that's really going to scare people. Plus all these powers,
right?
And eventually, the more extraordinary things you have to go through, if you're given enough time, you can get a handle on them as best you can to at least get some semblance of a normal life. But when things keep, coming out of left field, it's kind of hard to do that. So once they even get a hold of that, that's when they get kind of physically transformed. And then they're like, all right, fine, we're just kind of stuck like this.
Okay. This question right here, and I'm going to ask you this because this is what you do. I have never actually seen, and so I'm going to ask, maybe you have an answer, or maybe you thought about doing this before, I don't know. I have never seen a superhero, comic story where we ever get to find out what they eat. So now, right. So my question is, they stay strong, they stay healthy, they're obviously exercising, but I'm just curious to know, is there a such thing as what they could possibly eat? Because it couldn't be like they can't go to McDonald's drive-through, right? Like, So have you ever have you ever thought of putting that into kind of into one of your stories? Like, they go through the dilemma of where, because I've never seen that start out like you said, they figure out where they're going to get weapons, basically survival. Once they get put into these positions where they know they have to fend for themselves, I can imagine it could become hard to now understand where they're going to eat from and things like that. And I've never seen that actually put into a story. Is there a reason why? Do you think nobody's just thought of it yet, or has it been done?
Well, for me, I did a scene in my 5th issue, which is already completed, and there's a scene where they have actually gotten away from the public, and they're in because actually when they start out, they're in a remote area, they're in, like in this abandoned amusement park, but it's still kind of close to another shopping center, because they're just trying to get away, as much as they can, and it's kind of dark, but after a while, once the military, once those Operative 51 finds them, there's a battle outside the amusement park. It's right by a freeway, so everybody kind of sees, so they have to leave there. So they find a place that's even more remote. This is like towards up in the hills, and it's kind of a remote area on the island, because it all takes place in Hawaii.
Okay.
And what they do is, by that point, they can finally just kind of talk things over. So there's a scene where, imagine Sergeant Winters, because she can pretty much because she's kind of the savior of the group, so she does things like projecting force fields, she can kind of make people fly, just take them out of danger, teleportation, because that helps her group, so anything to help. So One of the things to help is teleportation. So she teleports to a nearby pizza place to grab some pizza, and basically what happens is she just waits kind of like by an alley, and there's a guy taking out an order to get delivered. He forgets that he needed like 2 other boxes, and then he goes back. He leaves the first 2 boxes out in the front of the store. So she levitates them toward her, and then teleports away. And he's like, "Oh, where'd my boxes go?" And so that's how they had to steal food. And then they also swipe a radio.
Oh wow, that's cool. That is cool.
So you see them eating pizza a bunch of times.
You know what? Again, like I say, that's cool, because that's a question I had to ask, because I know a lot of people out there are probably thinking to themselves, you know what? That's true. I've never really seen them do that. The furthest I, kind of see people get is Scooby and Scooby snacks and things like that. But, superheroes hasn't been done. And pizza seems like a great idea, because, hey, who's not eating pizza? They're on the go. It's quick. It's fast. Now, with these 3 projects, I know you probably don't like to take on too many things at one time, because you like to focus on your quality work. But have you started brainstorming on anything else that you might possibly begin work on in the future?
For right now, no. Just because I'm really overwhelmed. There are some things I want to do to improve the current stories that I have. But for right now, I haven't really sat down to do any new projects.
Okay. And now, obviously people know they can go to the conventions, the comic conventions, and find your books. But where, or when, should I say, where can other people check them out? Are they only at the conventions? Will people only be able to go to the conventions to catch the episodes already, or can they find them somewhere?
Well, if you're not at conventions, and when there aren't any conventions out at the moment, you can always, if you want to see my work, you can always see it online. So the first place you can see it is on actually Amazon Kindle. So if you want to download a book, it's up on Amazon Kindle. I have all the issues of Cosmic Force. I have all the issues of D.M.V.KeithHarris, all the issues of the Figure Speech Mongoose there, and you can download it to the Kindle device, or also if you have Kindle app on your iPhone or on Android, you can download that. And also, if you want to order a printed copy, you can go to indieplanet.com. That's INDYPLANET.com, and you can order the physical book, and it's the same. I have all the issues updated, so all of Cosmic Force, D.M.V.KeithHarris, Figure Speech Mongoose is there. You can order the book there, and it'll just get shipped to you.
Okay, and you said that's indieplanet.com?
Yeah, INDYPLANET.com.
Okay, yeah, the reason I say that because, listen, a lot of the comic book readers out there and comic book collectors would love, I'm sure, to get a printed copy of these comic books. Now, all three of them you prize. Out of the three, which one is, I know they're all your favorites, so I don't want to ask you a question that's going to make anyone seem any better than the other, because they're all good. But which one do you, if you were standing outside of your own shoes and you were looking in, which one would you, which one catches your personal interest?
Oh, I would say D.M.V.KeithHarris.
Yeah.
Just because of how, and this is based on a lot of the reaction I got at conventions, because I think it was last year, because I did a WonderCon in Anaheim, Long Beach Comic Con. I did one in most of the conventions I do are in California. I did one in Las Vegas around the summer, and that was the book that kind of brought people in to the table. If people came by, that would usually be the first book they look at, and they would kind of chuckle themselves. There were so many people that come by and pick up, and they're like, damn, Turret, I got to read this. One guy actually came up and just said, hey, look, I was actually headed somewhere else, but I just had to read this book just based on the title. Right.
I mean, because it's catchy, and then there's that comedy aspect to it. There's that, there's that innocent comedic feel to it. Like you say, you can't get mad to it. It has a certain hilarious to it, a certain clumsiness and a certain stumbliness to it that people would have to enjoy. So for me, I probably would say D.M.V.KeithHarris as well, because it's catchy, but also Figure of Speech Mongoose also to me is really running, a neck and neck race with it. And the reason I say that is because the Figure of Mongoose is a pretty funny guy too, right?
Yeah, and he's so versatile, because because he kind of touched on it before, where he does like all these dressed up in different outfits. He's in a lot of ways he's like this like interpretive performer.
Right. Yeah.
Because he does all these different things, and he's not always dressed in the same attire. I can pretty much do anything I want with him because of what he does. So I mean, he has a trademark outfit. He's got the cut T-shirt, denim shorts, slippers. He's got the sunglasses, but because of what he does, it's okay if I change the look and say, well, I'm going to have him wear a suit, or he's going to dress up as a rock star. He can do that.
And he gets funnier every time he changes. That's the thing about it. Again, and that's why before when I had asked you, just how did you come up with that character? Because a lot of people can come up with a chicken, some people come up with a cow, a horse, a donkey, but the mongoose himself is just like, he's got this smooth, like when you put shade glasses on him, he's a smooth cat. You know what I mean? Then he can have that look where he's kind of, laid back, like I don't want to, maybe I'm sitting at home with my slippers up and I'm scratching my head or whatever, and I don't want to do anything so he can go both ways. He can be really funny. He can be intelligent looking. He can look slick and sly, and then he could even possibly look obnoxious if he really wanted to, right? Mm-hmm. Right. So that's what brought that question to me before. Now, when you created, when you chose that animal as the character, did you see all of that in him at first? Because see, when you thought of the character, you obviously hadn't dressed him yet, right?
Yeah, because when I did it, it was originally did that character just by the image, just by the illustration. I think it was about maybe 14 years ago, because he was supposed to be transportation mascot for the bus company in Honolulu.
And he caught
when I was living there.
And he was catching the buses, right?
Yeah, he was dressed the same, although I was still kind of refining how the character looked. There were little things, like the tail was a little bit longer. For the most part, it was the same type of character. And then when I renamed him, and this was about 2 years ago, then that's when I kind of had an idea of what I could do with him, but you never know how far you can take it. I think I could see out maybe, a couple months as to how I would present him, just by the figure speech thing. I think it took it was like almost every other month I had an idea for something. So when I did the first figure speech mongoose comic, I said, oh, this is kind of cool. And then I already had ideas for other books. And then about a month after I finished the second book, that's when I just said, I think when I did the cover, because the covers were all figures of speech, and I thought, it would be really cool if I did a little game and just put it on Facebook and say, oh, you have to figure this figure of speech out. And I thought, oh, yeah, that might work. And then I did that for about 6 months, and then I just thought, there are all these different things, and I thought, oh, maybe I should do pop songs for people that, just like pop songs, or movies for people who like movies. And I was like, there were so many different things, because it's just him. It's just that single character, and he can just do anything. Because he's not tied to anything. He's not tied to like a story, so he can just kind of make things up.
Right.
D.M.V.KeithHarris and Cosmic Force, they've kind of got their own reality. So you have your own logic, you have your own rules. Even with D.M.V.KeithHarris, it has to be like in like a vacation type of setting for the most part. And then for the mongoose, it's just anything you want to do.
Right. Now, with the mongoose being a guy that he's on his own, he's doing his own thing. Do you think, is it possible, will he ever might find that is it possible that he might ever find that mongoose lady?
Oh, it's definitely possible. If he does, it's definitely going to be in, if not his next book, then his next game.
Okay.
And I can, it's a great way to just introduce other characters. To just say, oh, it's a background character, and then I can add him into a book.
Right. And maybe maybe in that, I guess it'll open more doors, because then people are, you can take it to that relationship aspect as well, and just kind of delve into even what couples go through metaphorically sometimes, like what is he trying to say, and that that would be off the chain, because so many people again would be able to relate to that sometimes. That would be, and that's why I had to ask that question, because again, he seems like he wears so many hats that he seems like the kind of guy that could be smooth as well. He could find that lady. He can transform. He can do these different things. I could see figure of speech mongoose dancing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At the ball or something. So yeah, that's what made me ask that question. Now, also, okay. Now, so that convention that you just had that went past, are you looking forward to more conventions coming up? Are you already looking, or you just kind of sitting back waiting on the next announcement, or?
Well, the one I did at Pulp Fiction, that was my last one of the year, and then I'm going to start up again in 2015, and probably my first convention will be WonderCon in Anaheim. There are a few before, and that's in April. There are at least 3 or 4 before that. I'm still trying to hear back, because I've signed up for them. Okay. There's actually one in Bakersfield that's in March that I may be doing. There's also one in January that's in Orange County, and all of them are, at this point, are still in California. So for now, I'm set to do the first one. I'm probably going to do will be in April. Within the next month or so, I'll see if I can do the other conventions. I want to make sure that I have a lot of my new stuff ready, because I have like a full. I just restocked because a lot of my issue ones of Damn Tourist and Figure Speech Mongoose did sell out, so I restocked.
Oh,
and
wow.
now I'm actually got new material that I'm working on. So I have a fourth issue of Damn Tourist where they're in Las Vegas, basically cleaning up the bank in Vegas, winning at every casino.
Oh man, and is that the Damn Tourist?
Yep.
Oh,
so they drove in from California. They drove in from Los Angeles where they were in their third issue.
Wow. Now did they didn't know, they were just getting lucky.
Yeah, and it was kind of the thing. They were skilled in the video casino games. So when they came in, there's this big sequence in the issue. I've done 10 pages already, but in these 10 pages, there's this sequence where there's slow motion walk where they're coming through and people are just kind of eyeing them out, and then they think they're going to hit like the table games, and they turn at the last second, go to the video machines, and people are just kind of laughing like, oh yeah, whatever, they probably don't know how to play. And then there's like a scene change like 3 hours later, and people are just like, their jaws drop and they're just shocked. And they realize that they've pretty much maxed out on all those games.
Oh man.
And they're like, how did you guys win all of this? And then each time they go to a casino, like the casino ends up being closed.
So they kind of like put the sign up when they see them coming.
Yeah, pretty much. Or they try to warn the next casino, like, hey, like, don't let these people in. You ain't gonna last.
Now for those who want to, those that may be in the local area or surrounding areas, or maybe passing through sometimes, or might just want to follow your work at some of these conventions. How would they go about knowing which conventions that you have that you have signed on to?
Oh, you can do it two ways. You can go to my website, which is alancarter.squarespace.com. Full name is alan-carter.squarespace.com, and I have an events page on there that I update each time I'm confirmed for a show. So I always have my dates for each show. So whether it'll be Long Beach Comic Expo or WonderCon or Amazing Las Vegas Comic Con or any of the conventions nearby, that'll be on the list. You can also go to my Facebook fan page, Carter Comics, and that's specifically for all of my events coming up, whether they're radio shows, podcasts, convention appearances, anything like that. I'll list there. And that's along with my separate fan pages for each of my books, for Cosmic Force, for Figure Speech Mongoose, and for Damn Tourist. So you can either go to Carter Comics on Facebook or alan-carter.squarespace.com, and you can check out my events page. And I'll have all the latest events that'll be at all latest conventions and podcasts and radio shows.
Okay, great. And also, I wanted to let everybody know out there and that what Alan and I are going to do is you will be able to watch the actual video as well. We're actually going to do a Skype interview, because what we want is for you all to be able to kind of get a picture. For those who haven't seen it, we want you all to be able to get a picture of these characters, okay, and what they look like. And I'm telling you, they're amazing. You'll fall out your seat laughing. You're like, wow, and you really get interested, sort of like the people who came to the conventions did when they just noticed it and was like, okay, I've got to see that. So I want to just kind of fill everybody out there in Radio Land listening in and let them know to be looking out for the video footage where Alan and I will be just kind of scrolling through his different books and looking at the artwork and concepts and things of that nature. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And that will be up on the Facebook pages and the YouTube pages and things like that very soon. Alan, look, it's always wonderful talking to you, man. And I want to look every episode. I need you on here just kind of telling us what's going on, man. Just keeping up with it. Be like the radio version of the story. You know what I mean?
Oh, definitely. You know it.
That sounds like a plan. So look, keep doing your thing. Like I say, a lot of times I just, like I was telling, big shouts out to Joe Williamson too, as a matter of fact. And just the other day I was telling Joe, I'm like, this guy's like a genius. Like the stories that he comes up with, great calculated, really focused as well onto reality with some of these stories that you create, because they're also for grown-ups. You have that kid concept where kids can enjoy them, but there's something that grown-ups can really get a lot out of as well and can relate to. So keep doing your thing. Kudos to you, and we look forward to hearing you again, and everybody else also look forward to seeing Alan on the Skype video footage as well. Alan,
yeah, definitely. And I did want to mention, for all of you around, Christmas time, I'm still doing the Christmas Carol Mondays on my Facebook page. It's my Figure Speech Mongoose on Facebook page. You can like that page, and you can play into the games, because the winner will receive a sketch from me that will be posted on your Facebook page. The sketch is whatever you want. It's just if you win the next Christmas Carol. And that's coming up next Monday. I'll have another Carol posted on the Figure Speech Mongoose Facebook fan page.
Hey, that's hot right there. That's a real big deal. So yeah, and also I'm assuming, and I'm just asking you, Alan, make sure you post that up. Leak it out to my page as well so people can play that. And I hope everybody out there doesn't get offended, because I'm gonna play it too. I'm not gonna cheat. I'm not gonna ask Alan what it means. You know what I'm saying? But the sketch would be great. So listen, Alan, you take care out there. What's it like, man? Is it still rainy out there? Did the sun come out today, or?
It's still a little cloudy, but it's just been drizzling. Most of the rain we got was yesterday. It was raining nonstop.
Oh man! But then, as I heard out there,
we needed it though.
That's what
we needed it because it's been dry.
That's what I've been hearing, as a matter of fact. So you know what? Hey, well, it's good you got it. And I bet in about another day you'll be wanting the sunshine back, right?
Oh yeah. Well, for me, I'm fine. I love it. Really cool. I was sick of the heat.
Yeah, I know that's right. All right, Alan, man, it's always good to talk to you. Once again, everybody, it's Alan Carter of Carter Comics. Make sure you go check out all of his work. It's wonderful. You don't want to miss it. And stay tuned for more from Alan right here on the Keith Harris Show Global Network. Alan, we'll be talking to you soon, brother.
All right, take it easy.
Take care. That was Alan Carter of Carter Comics. The next big thing, all right? Now big thing. You know what I'm saying? Doing great work. We look forward to seeing all that work, the books and things like that. Once again, make sure you go check that out. Also, in my eyes, in my opinion, be looking for some of these stories to hit the screen too. And hit, whether it be animated or whether they turn into some superhero kind of characters. Definitely be looking out for it. The kid is a genius. He's doing big things. Not to be taken lightly at all. He's not just drawing funny stories and scribbling on paper. He's really making amazing artists with wonderful plots, stories, and lines. So you make sure you check that out. Once again, you listen to the Keith Harris Show Global Network right here on Hotline Radio, the hottest radio station all across the